Hello, everybody. Uh, Eric DeGuapo did a stream last night celebrating issue 3 of The Broken, and he actually had Kenneth Rocafort on. It was a really nice stream. Enjoyed it. They asked a lot of pointed questions, and really, that'd be a stream really like just before he launches uh, Broken 4. I would say definitely one of those, do a revisit of that stream. Even if Eric were to EFAB his own stream, to help generate that enthusiasm for the Roca Force for the launch of the book. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I remember when Eric, when Ken would do his he'd launch without really announcing it. And I remember like Vanessa would know when the launch was, and she would do like middle of the night streams or early morning streams just to celebrate the launch. Her and Amanda, and Vanessa would actually take the day off work to do it. So Vanessa wasn't on the stream. I don't know why. Uh, for whatever reason, she wasn't on. That's her choice. She's really stepped away from the social media stuff since that what happened with the award show. And I talked about that at Garden State with a creator about that, and I said to him how, hey, I go, we were just wanting to have fun. I said they and Ethan and his cronies ruined his fun, and I even said how uh, even when we were like kind of fading away from being like we were like becoming like anti CG, I said to the creator how when all that shit came out with Mandy and she like nuked her channel for or closed down her channel for a little bit and wasn't there for like a month and a half because stuff came out about her. I said how people weren't going into specifics or saying, "Oh, it's really awful stuff," and I'm going, "Well, how awful is it?" Because I've seen some pretty damn bad stuff, nasty, gnarly stuff at this local dive bar, and I can't see anything what she's done being as bad as what I've seen and witnessed. And I've been told a few things that of what it was, and again, quite honestly, it's one of those where it's like I looked at it, I almost shook my head like, you call that nasty? I've seen some pretty damn nasty stuff in this bar and in the parking lot of this bar. So, and then I said to this creator, I said, so to be on that stream and to hear Mandy call me war campaign, I said that pissed me the fuck off, and I did not mince my words about it. And the creator that I was talking to was like kind of like shaking his head. I was like did a little bit of a jaw drop when I explained when I said that. But I said to this creator, I said, I said that doesn't change my opinion of you. I still back you, and I'm still going to be a supporter of you. I said, as far as I'm concerned, I said that didn't affect my supporting of you. And the real life touching grass relationship with you. Because I said to him, because that's what we're doing. I said, you and me talking right now in the real world. I said, that's what it is, touching grass. And it meant a lot to that creator to hear me say that. So, and that's between me and the creator. I don't need to go into specifics of who it was. It's up to you to if you want to dig into postulate who it was I'm talking about. And I won't tell you. So, but we are now at week 27, and we're about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We're about a week and a half behind, and we are days 180 through 186, and we are in the ends. We're going to finish out the ends, and the last book of the week was an oh my. So, and it is an oh my. It is when it is that book that I started the O's with. That is an oh my. Look at that book. That is so cool to get that signature. So we go with day 180, New Mutants, 70 issue 75, and it is Louise Simonson was the writer, with Bob McLeod inking it, and even though he didn't get signed, the penciler was, drum roll please, it was John Byrne. He did an issue, a fill-in issue of the New Mutants, and it was a great issue. Uh, Basically, the kids return from one of their adventures, and they are in hiding. And here it's a fight between and what is they'd established that Magneto had joined the Hellfire Club, and it's basically a fight between the black, and he's the White King, and here he's having a fight with against the Black King, Sebastian Shaw. And I thought this was a really good issue. And again, it was the the artwork was good. He did a good job of showing the kids, and I it was just so nice to have this issue signed when. And here's the thing, I wasn't ever a huge fan of Brian Brett Brett Blevins. So for me, as one of those was like this was like, oh wow, John Byrne, top of his game. He's doing an issue of the X Men of New Mutants. This is great. So that's the reason why other issues before and after aren't signed, but this one is. So, because I do remember how John Byrne did a good job of making the kids, making them look like kids, making them lanky and skinny. So, which that's how you did kids back then. Now you'd have them squat and obese. So, but I like this issue, and that's the reason why I had it signed and have both signatures. That's really nice. So we follow that up with New Warriors Annual 2. This was a fighting the Sphinx, and it was this was back when Marvel was no longer doing necessarily events. Remember how they had the High Evolutionary War, and they did Atlantis Attacks? How it was annual, spread amongst all the titles. This was they cut it down. They'd have like a four annuals associated with each other for a big event story for just those titles, and in some cases it worked out good. In other cases it didn't. In this one, it was a combination of Spider-Man annuals with the New Mutants. So, and I've got this one signed by Brandon Peterson, Aaron Lopresti, and Keith Williams. And this is one of those where they had the main story, and then they would have backup stories in the annual. And that's where, like, I think Aaron and Keith Williams did backup stories in the annual. So, but yeah, to get those, to get multiple signatures on a title, it's always a treat. So, the most recent signature on this one was Keith Williams, and it's always a blast seeing Keith at shows. I always tease him. In fact, when we were at Garden State, I went to have him sign a book, and afterward, he signs it. We're talking about it, and just before we leave, I look at him and I go, "You forgot to do something." Like, what did I forget? And he's like looking around, and he's thinking that he didn't give me the book back. I look at him and I go, "The book, Keith, the book." And at that point, Miss Stippling chimes in and she goes, "You didn't sign the book." And he goes, "Oh my gosh, here, wait, is when you go up to Keith Williams to have him sign a book, okay? What it is, he's got a little journal and he notates like how many books he sold, so that way he can track his income from signing books, from commissions and whatnot. So that way he can track it. And here he forgot to notate in the book that he signed that I had him sign X amount of books, so he made X amount of money off of it. And he's just like, and he hangs his head down and he looks at me and he goes, "I completely forgot." And I go, "Yeah." I go, "Imagine the hell you're going to go through." I said, "When your wife comes back and finds out you didn't write it in the book." He goes, "I know, I know, I know. She gives me such a hard time." And so I just had so much of a blast teasing him about that. And the fact that Miss Stippling got in on the joke and teased him and like pointed out it's the book that he's telling you about. He's telling you he forgot to fill out the book, and he's like, ah. So if you ever see Keith at a show, okay, even if you're not going to have him sign something, even if you're just walking by, you can always go, Keith, remember the book, remember the book, show me the book, and he'll he'll probably give you like, what, oh, and then thing is though is if you're shouting it out and his wife's sitting at the table, she'll probably know what you're talking about and hold it up in the air. So yeah, so always ask Keith about the book. Did you put did you notate it in the book, Keith? And he'll be like, oh, I didn't, I forgot. Thank you. So always good to see Keith and tease him about the book. So, but then after that, on day 182, we got New Warriors #1 signed by Fabian Acacia and by Mark Bagley. Now, I've had this one signed by Mark Bagley for probably about 10 years. When I saw him at Garden State, I did not have him sign this book because it was already signed. So this is one of those where it's nice to have already had it signed by him. In fact, I think I have. They debuted in the Mighty Thor comic book, and I think I have those signed too, because that was Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends who uh, who drew it. So that brings up an interesting point. Uh, who is credited with creating the New Warriors? Was it Ron Friends and Tom DeFalco, or was it Fabian and Mark Bagley? That's that's something I'd have if I ever remember to. I'll have to ask them because find out. Because I mean, if they'd already planned on having the book and they're already starting the book with those two guys, but they wanted it debuted in the Thor to help boost the popularity of the team, that makes sense. But if it was one of those where it's like they debuted the team first, then created the book, then it would be Friends and DeFalco who would have the rights to the incentive rights to those characters. So that's something I'd really be curious about. So, and yes, I am intentionally doing this. I'm intentionally leaving white on either end because I wanted it blended in the back, but when I get to here, I want there to be distinct separation. That's the reason why. And this is also the reason why I'm doing this here. Is I was looking at this last night and I realized I hadn't finished these two parts, so I went back in and notated it with these lines. You see this? I drew lines so that way I knew that I forgot those areas so I could finish them. So I don't do that too much, especially with this round. I had to do that a lot with the first phase of it. Because when I first drew this for Marty to give to his son, uh, what I did was I was all over the place to discover that balance of darks. Because I'd already done it, and now I'm doing a copy for Marty to have for himself. I was able to really just work from left to right over. So, and right now, because I'm at the point now where with the dog, all I got to do is the nose and this part up here, which that's not going to take me much time. This I finished yesterday off screen, so or off camera. So now I'm down here and I've got to hit these big areas. So I got to hit all of this stuff. Let's pull back. So now I'm at the point where I've got all these big areas that I got to do, and I've got to take this tone and I got to pull it in here, and this tone needs to be pulled in more, and then there's a shadow here which comes in, and all that stuff. That's like broad areas of dots that I got to do. So now I'm at the point where I got to hit these big areas. So that's the reason why I kind of skipped working on the dog and now working on doing the doing the shirt and the boy. So Let's pull back in so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So, okay, so day 183. We're still in the ends, and it is Nomad number 8. This was done after the first LA riots in the 90s. And Nomad was the perfect character. He was absolutely the perfect character to to address this issue or this story, because he was a nomad who was basically just wandering around the United States, handling. He wasn't really handling like big events and big crises. He was like the everyday person vigilante. I remember the big thing with about Nomad was he was doing these things and he had a baby on his back that he took from essentially from a crack whore, and he was taking the baby on his, and that was, I guess, it made him like the lone wolf and cub story. But he was the perfect character for L.A. riots because he was able to like interact, and he wasn't trying to change the world, make people. He was just trying to help people. And where he had the story where uh, cops, he told the cops like, why aren't you going to put out that fire? And they go, there's a sniper, and I'm not sending my guys in to get shot. And because the cops were all doing other things, he went into the neighborhood and came across and stopped the sniper, so then the firefighters could go in and stop the fires. And uh, fun fact: if you look at the very first page of this story, okay, there's nowhere in this story is there the creator, that, like, Mark, Fabian, the writer, Mark McKenna, the inker, because when they put the overlay plate down, the person who was doing it wasn't paying attention. The overlay was supposed to like a white. Here it went on a white background, so it never printed. So I had actually, when I went up to uh, Mark McKenna first, I walked up to him and I said to him, "Did you ink this?" And he looked at me and he was like, "Yes, I did ink this." So I had him sign it. Then when I went up to Fabian and I said, "You did the issues before it and after. Did you do this story?" And he goes, "Yes." And he's the one who told me about. That's the reason why the credits aren't showing up in this book, because of the white lay overlay was on a white background. That's the reason why it didn't show up. So, and he told me his story how he was actually in L.A. during the riots in this hotel, and he was basically trapped in a hotel. He was in for like a conference or for a meeting, and here he, like I said, he was trapped in the hotel, and so him and the other people who were in the hotel, they went up to the roof and they witnessed it all just from this watching the skyline and watching and like watching firsthand from the roof of what was happening. And then he said that there was like some out of towners uh, in the hot tub, just like, oh my god, the world's coming to an end, and just get loaded off their asses. And so but no, if you ever see him a show, ask him about this issue number 8, Nomad, and his experience being there during the riot. So I think yeah, I'm sure he will have a story for you to tell you, and it really, like I said, when you look at it, it's like how, like, this was one of those few times where you could tell that story of the LA riots and not having to worry about how does this fit in with the continuity of Captain America, and why was Captain America in the streets of LA trying to stop this, or the Shroud is based in the LA, why wasn't he taking part? No, 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 no. Nomad was the perfect character. If you had Nomad as a book right now, Nomad would be the character and the book for you to do one about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and this and that, this riot, that riot, ICE raids, the whole 9 yards, and put a like whatever spin, where it be left or right. Nomad and a Nomad book would be the book to do it in. Not Captain America, not Thor, not Spider-Man. Nomad. He was the perfect character. He was your perfect everyday American character to do that. And that's the reason why I picked this book, even though I've got quite a few issues, probably like 5 issues of Nomad signed by either Mark McKenna or Fabian. And I think one of them actually I have signed by I think it's Peter Olaf. He did one of the issues. I think this was the one with it was the one with Red Wolf. I think that's the one he did. Um, I've uh, I've got them all signed, and so that is one of those that is one of those books that I like I said I enjoy it, and I but this that's the reason why I picked this issue to show and share with you guys as opposed to other issues of Nomad. So, and then of course we go to day 184. We go into the ends for in small press, and I have Negation number 6 by Andy Smith. This was a fill-in art issue. It's over. Paul Pellier was the regular artist, and so Andy Smith did this one, most likely to help Paul get caught up. This was the issue that this was the series that they did to try to link all of the different titles together. I think they did a poor job of it. I think this would have been done much better if they just done it as a limited series and had like this character from this title and this character from this character sucked into a conflict. They resolve the conflict, but it would be one of those deals where it's like it's a it's a DC Crisis event. It's a Marvel Secret Wars event, and basically just do that as a means to get the fans interested in all the characters. Doing it as an ongoing series, I just don't think worked, and it shows because I mean, as everybody says, who worked before Cross Gen, it was the later books that they did that didn't really even have to do with the sigil that were much better sellers than the earlier books that had a big deal with the Cross Gen yin yang. So, and then after that, we go into okay, day 185. Day 185, Next Men number 17. The reason why I have this one signed the way I did was because I wrote a letter to John Byrne, and he put it in his letters page of this issue of Next Men. And so when I had him sign it, I didn't have him sign the cover. I had him sign on the letters page right next to my name for the letter. And then, of course, so last year when I went to Heroes Con, Matt Webb was there, had Matt Webb signed the issue. So, very happy about that. So, and then after that, we've got day 186. We now start with the O's. And what better, oh my, than OMAC number 1 signed by John Byrne. This is the first time I really noticed, the first time I bought a book on, oh wow, this is so cool. Not even knowing what Duo Shade was. This book was awesome. I was never a huge fan of how I was never a fan of Jack Kirby's OMAC. And when I posted this, I got a couple people who normally don't comment or hit the like button, hit the like. I got a couple people, or one person in particular, who commented, going, "Okay, I'm actually jealous of you that you got this signature on this book." And here's the thing: I liked it. I thought it was a nice because all he did was he tweaked OMAC just a little bit with a costume change, but overall, he really didn't change that much. OMAC, he made it much more adult oriented and graphic. But overall, I gotta stop working on that area because I need to look at the reference and my notes for today's videos on that. So here I know this is black. So, okay. So, sorry about that. Still getting over this cold. So, OMAC number one. Again, I am sorry for the coughing, but we're almost done with this video. This was the last day of the week, and then OMAC. I just had it. Okay, so OMAC number one, signed by John Byrne, and I didn't know what Duo Shade was, but I loved this so much because of all the. It was John Byrne, but there was an extra element of all the extra textures and everything. And I'll tell you right now, if DC wants to make some money, I think they should republish this book. I think they can make for two reasons. A, there's a lot of people that might have know about this but don't have it, and it is just artistically is very good book. And just here's the thing: people are clamoring for good stuff. And remember, when comic books first started, they were designed to hit specifically a certain age demographic. And once that age demographic was met, kids were moving on to other things. So they would just so after like 5 years, they just start republishing everything all over again. And this is the thing is specifically in today's environment, just you want to save money, you've already made profit off of this OMAC book. Okay? Then why not just republish it? 90% of your cost, 90% of your sales will be profit because that 10% is publishing and shipping. And so books like this, and the thing is, though, is that after John did this series, he did go in and do the the Namor series. And remember, the first I want to say 2-3 issues of the Submariner series was also done in Duo Shade. So I'd be really curious. I gotta and I gotta look into that and see who was inking John over Namor, and talk. And if I can, if it's Bob Wick, I'm definitely gonna have to talk to Bob about that next time I see him at a show. So, but guys, I'm almost done with this video. Actually, I am done with this video, and we're working more on this. So this piece here, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. May not be able to see the end result because my goal is to have this done by Saturday. So I want to have this done by Saturday so I can give this to the client. So you may not see the finished results of this until I actually post the image. And when I do post it, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to post this one and the one I did for the one that Marty commissioned me and gave to his son. I'm probably going to publish them both at the same time so you can see the difference between the two. So, but hey, I got work to do. I got to finish this up. You're going to have a great day. I'm having a great day, but remember, life is stressful. When it is, just take it all one dot at a time.